Hello, I'm Co-Sunlight. Welcome to my next project, which is a hero, which I'm doing a bit differently. I'm going to be doing only KMS gear progression, so largely that's no Gollux, no commerci. A lot of people skip commerci anyways nowadays, but um, I'm doing no Gollux as well, no kanna treasure ring, that type of stuff. And the goal is to eventually get this up to like at least solo hard Lomian. I really would like to get it to like solo H lucid, H will, and I want to liberate it. I'll just be getting carried, like I'll get it to 255 or something. But um, anyway, we'll see how it all goes and how it develops. So that's one aspect of what I want to do with the hero. I also want to do not actually solo progression, but sort of solo-ish progression, which I'll explain a bit more about what I mean by that. But let's go ahead and get started by watching something more interesting, which is me looking at my first real challenge, kind of, with this character, which was doing hard Magnus solo. Yeah, so here's the gear I had going into it. You can see I've done like CZAC and Chaos Pink Bean and stuff, but those weren't huge damage checks. I do have almost 9k Legion and like full level 3 links and everything, so it's like I'm definitely going into this with a lot of stuff that makes it easier. But anyway, that's my gear, and we're heading into Magnus now. I don't claim that any of this is like good gameplay, by the way. I'm very new to Hero. I literally bonked it up to 213, and I actually did some training on it after this, but this is like my first real bossing experience on Hero. I've already messed up I didn't cast the buff that gives like a 25 final damage debuff, so I noticed it in the second verse. But anyway, it's all a bit scuffed. But anyway, let me go back and explain a little bit more what I mean by sort of solo-ish progression. Basically, I kind of want to do a solo progression, but the aspects that I find interesting about it and what I don't find interesting is sort of the time gate aspects of it. So like, hey, once I can beat Lomian, I don't want to like sit there for weeks like stocking up on the ETCs and then like finally get my Abso gear eventually and like do the weeklies to get the stones, whatever. I don't want to do that. So like I will take carries for hard Lomian. I'll be like trading with some friends or whatever. But I won't equip that gear until I can beat normal Lomian myself, is basically the idea. So like I show myself capable of getting the gear by beating normal Lomian, and then I'm gonna just equip all the Abso that I have, is kind of the goal. And it'll be like the same when we get to Lucid and Will, is like once I can beat Lucid, I can equip any Lucid Arcane pieces I have. I'm pretty dry on droplets right now because my Mihal's been booming Arcanes like crazy. But anyway, so I don't even know when that'll be. But that's kind of the vibe I'm going for, is I want sort of the feel of solo progression, gear-wise, slowly building up gear, showing that I can, beat certain bosses with only gear from bosses before it, that type of thing. But then once I can beat the boss, I'm just going to kind of skip a lot of pieces and say like, hey, this would have taken weeks, but I'm just going to skip it and get carried. Anyway, so that's kind of what I want to do with it, along with something that part of my reasoning behind, changing the gear setup a bit and like skipping Gollux, skipping commerci is part of like one of the things I like about this game is the gear progression and like that there's kind of different routes to go down at some spots, and I don't know, this is just like a new way to do the gear progression, and also it removes to me the most annoying aspect of gear progression, which is Gollux. I hate trading Gollux. Just like a daily trade for things is so annoying. If Gollux was like weekly or something, I would love it, but daily trading I find really annoying. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do I'm just gonna skip it and we'll see how it goes. I am gonna do some GMS things, like I will be getting down to attack speed 0, I'm using a one-handed axe, I think, is the first like level 140 weapon drop that I got when I was gearing this character a little bit. So I think in this video I'm at attack speed 1 because I'm not using decent speed infusion. But anyway, so like I will be getting down to attack speed 0, and I will use familiars. I'm going to use them pretty minimally. I have, since this video, opened 315 IED familiars, and I'll be getting some badges. I'll probably start with just one badge for a bit, and then later I will eventually get all 10 badges so that I can equip 15% IED familiars, and I don't think I'm going to open any more past that. Anyway, that'll save some on IED, which is quite helpful, but so I don't know. It's not like true KMS style progression. It's just the gear that I'm doing, and mainly it's just because I find Gollux annoying to trade. Is like what is inspiring this. So it's like kind of a dumb reason, but anyway, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna see how it goes. Yeah. Is there anything else I want to talk about while we're watching me slowly beat up Magnus here? I don't know. I guess in general, I've been inspired by a few other creators around there who have done put restrictions on their account to like do interesting things with it. I like, they say like, oh yeah, it makes the game more fun. And now that I'm approaching this as like a restriction, as like, yeah, not something I have to do at all, not the optimal thing to do in any way. But just like something I'm doing for fun. It is making me see the game in kind of like a new light, and like I'm finding it fun to kind of plan out like, oh, this is my progression, and like, oh, later this week I'll finish my normal RA things, and I'll see how CRA goes, and might have to figure out ways to like squeeze out more damage. I don't know. I think the damage should be fine. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, I am finding it more fun. So, namely, the people I'm thinking of when I said that were Maple Bench. If you've watched his stuff, he was doing no totem progression before totem removal. And yeah, and he just really enjoyed it. And that was cool to see. There's also there's this guy sometimes on Twitch, Ed Second Place, he's doing 10k Legion, but he's doing it like 250 at a time. So like first he did one character from 0 to 250 with like no links, no Legion, anything, and then he's doing that like one at a time. So he's just like each character, he's locked into that character till it hits 250, and then he keeps going. So he's on his like, I don't know, maybe 6th character or something now, maybe more. I haven't kept up super closely, but yeah, and he's like 2k Legion or something, like, or less, I don't know, 1.5k if it's 6 characters, and it's like he's just doing it, and it's like completely inoptimal, right? But it's fun, and it's like a different challenge, and I really enjoy watching it and just hearing how the progress goes. So this is much less restricted in many ways than either of those were, but like all it is just a change to the gear setup. But I think it'll be fun. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with things like Slime Ring or the other pieces of the Dawn set, like, because technically they can drop from the normal versions, right? But they're very rare. So what I think I might do, we'll see if I change my mind when I get there. But the current plan is, once I can beat normal, I'll like trade carries to get, like, if I can beat normal slime, then I could trade a sea slime carry to get 1 slime ring, and I'll just leave it at 17 star or something. So I'll basically be pretending like, hey, I did normal slime and got really lucky and got a drop. And then, but I won't I won't assume that I could have gotten like multiple drops or anything. So like I won't start past 17 or anything until I'm a decent bit stronger. Maybe at some point if I feel strong enough where I'm like, oh, like I could be contributing to a C-line party or something. I might do more carries to trade more carries to get more rings, or maybe I'll just join a C-line party. I don't know. I hate scheduling, so I might not. I don't know. Part of my dislike of doing Gollux is the scheduling aspect. So just like every day having to do it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. That's my current plan, and it'll be the same. Like once I can beat normal gloom someday, then I might like trade sea gloom carries just for like maybe arcane pieces at that point, assuming I can, because I should be able to do like normal lucid and stuff by then. And also the earrings, are they the Estella earrings? Estrella? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, then we'll get the earrings, and then like what are the other pieces? There's a pendant and the face. Yeah, the face as well. Probably once I can do normal lucid, I'll trade carries and try to get a lucid mark, and we'll just leave it in 17 star until I'm like strong enough to either do hard myself or I don't know, just strong enough to where I feel like it would be reasonable for me to have multiple copies and a more normal progression route. So I'm like cheating quite a bit, but still hopefully keeping the vibe of like what a solo progression type of thing could be. So I don't know. It feels bad to call it solo progression because it's very not, but it's the aspects of solo progression that I find interesting together with the aspects that removing the aspects that I just don't find interesting, which is mainly like the time gates around getting the gear. I want to avoid that. So anyway, that was Magnus, and we did it. So that improved some gear. I'm also going to show, I trained up to 220 afterwards. Here's my training routine. I won't claim it's the best ever, but it's a map that I tried and liked. Oh, and I should have talked about this. Here, I'll talk about this while this is going. But the basic setup for this map is pretty simple. I put fountain top right, and then when Burning Soul Blade is up, I put it in the bottom right. It just makes things a little bit more lenient. You don't really need it, as you'll see a little later in the rotation. Anyway, part of the reason I chose Hero is because they got some interesting mobbing buffs lately, and like with the Destiny remaster, and yeah, basically there's like this one clip I saw of an Odium rotation for a hero, and I just found their skill usage really interesting, and so it brought me back to Hero, which I'd kind of been planning as like a boss meal or something, and it just made me more interested in the class, as like I feel like a lot of the skills end up as kind of like a puzzle that you can use to clear maps in a really interesting way. So like there's the skill I have on E, the Beam Blade, that you can use, like here I use it diagonally upwards mostly to like clear a lot of the top left area, and that's like an interesting skill. You have this rush that you can only rush 2 mobs. You have Rising Rage, the big thing that I drop on the left, every other spawn cycle. You have Puncture as like this, big hitbox, especially that hits above you, and then you have just your normal attack. What's it called? The Raging Blow. It was still new to Hero. Anyway, and you have like these tools that are all fairly straightforward, but to me they just feel like a puzzle. You do this map, you fit them together like a puzzle to get whatever you get. Anyway, this map when I V8'd it was like 14-ish kill rate per hour, maybe a little more if I was a little cleaner. Yeah, that's basically what I did to 220. And we can do a quick gear update now that I'm 220. So For the gear, we're sitting, let me prog Maple Warrior real quick. 8.4k stat, that looks better. For Magnus, we were like 6k. Anyway, for the gear, we have this event ring, Silver Blossom, Pink Holy Cup, pretty normal. Mechanator from Arc, Chaos Horntail. Got this one-handed axe, it was the first weapon to drop. I'll swap to two-handed when we get the CRA weapon, hopefully later this week, I guess. Zockman belt, we don't use this much in GMS because we usually do Pink Bean belt to transfer hammer onto Gollux, but anyway, Zockman belt's slightly better, so I'm using it. Pencilier, Zach, face and eye, of course. Pencilier overall. Pencilier boots as well. Deicitus earrings. Magnus shoulder, which we got. The Pencilier gloves. I got this fairy heart from the event shop. Tyrant cape. Using this secondary, so ID, attack, crit rate. Kind of nice for now. And attack, crit rate, all set on the emblem. And that's about it. I do have some familiars. I have 3 1590 familiars somewhere in there. I don't remember. Anyway, we'll use those eventually. But yeah, hopefully an update later this week when we do CRA. Yeah, bye.